Hello, welcome to a world of total relativism. This is a world with as many realities as there are points of view. In this game, seeing and believing have switched places. It may look confusing at first, but don't worry, sit down, relax. You might like it here, then again, you might not. On the 7th of April, pictures emerged that appeared to show children in Douma, the suburb of Damascus, being treated after a chemical attack. The Syrian government has used chemical weapons in the past. The view in the West was clear. It looked like they'd done it again.
If they are found to be responsible, the regime and its backers, including Russia, must be held to account.
But from Moscow, things looked very different indeed.
Более того, у нас есть неопровержимые данные о том, что это была постановка очередная. И к этой постановке приложили руку спецслужбы одного государства, которое сейчас рвется быть в первых рядах русофобской кампании.
That certain country, Russian officials made clear, is Britain. In war, there are often disagreements over who's responsible for an attack. But this is different.
The narrative has evolved over time, so as soon as the attacks were reported, you saw well-known pro-Kremlin and pro-Assad internet trolls advancing the narrative that this was a genuine attack but had been committed by the rebels. But then quickly you had more official sources, so particularly the Russian Foreign Ministry and the Russian Defense Ministry, saying the whole story is a fake, the images are a fake, the videos are fake, the story is a provocation.
In the real world, this is a binary situation. Either there was a chemical attack or there wasn't. On the ground, a team of international experts is checking. But meanwhile, in the world of information warfare, the Russians are on the offensive.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Moscow's chief diplomat in London has been holding marathon press briefings, covering topics from Syria.
The white helmets are supported by the British government. They're giving them money. And they're famous for staging fake chemical attacks.
To Salisbury.
We get the impression that the British government is deliberately pursuing the policy of destroying all possible evidence.
To a multimedia presentation on Iraq.
My judgment as Prime Minister is that this threat is real, growing, and of an entirely different nature to any conventional threat to our security that Britain has faced before.
The programme in the form that we thought it was did not exist in the way that we thought, so I can apologise for that.
Russia makes no secret of the fact that it believes it's fighting an information war. Those who study this campaign say Moscow is using a mixture of methods to produce a potent propaganda cocktail.
You have state-controlled sites, you have the state bureaucracy, you have state diplomats, you have allegedly independent websites, you have allegedly independent broadcasters, and you have allegedly independent trolls and bots. But you see that they all work together, they all amplify the same messaging, and they all support the Russian government's narrative, and they all attack the Russian government's critics.
One of those who's been named in UK government analysis, variously as a Russian bot or a troll, is someone with the Twitter handle Ian56789. Up until the 7th of April, he was tweeting continuously about Salisbury, echoing the Russian government's line that the UK was behind the poisoning. Then, after reports of the attack in Douma emerged, he switches seamlessly to pushing Moscow's line on Syria. He's not, in fact, a bot.
Hello.
He's a real person called Ian Shilling. Over Skype, I asked him whether he was, though, a pro-Kremlin troll.
I am not controlled by anybody, anywhere in the world. I do my own thing. I am interested in analysing the evidence of what is going on in these wars. There are no credible journalists anywhere in mainstream media. They lie. They just parrot whatever the government lies on. So the UK government is going to lie all the time because they're up to no good.
But your tweets seem to parrot whatever the Russian government lines are.
Well, because if the Russians are telling the truth about something, I'm going to agree with them because I report the truth.
If you want to check whether you're dealing with a bit of Russian propaganda, there's one phrase that's a dead giveaway: false flag operation. It basically means somebody else did something to make Russia look bad. According to pro-Kremlin Twitter accounts, reinforced by state-run channels and official statements, recent examples include the shooting down of MH17 in Ukraine and, of course, the poisoning of Sergei and Yulia Skripal with a military-grade nerve agent. Russia has floated more than 20 theories for what happened in Salisbury. They include the Brits did it to distract from Brexit, or maybe it was the Czechs, or the Slovaks, or possibly the Swedes. All states engage in strategic communications. Call it PR if you like, or propaganda if you prefer. Now, traditionally, this involves trying to get people to believe that your version of events is indeed the truth. Но в последнее время Москва пытается делать, кажется, что-то немножко другое. Вместо того, чтобы убедить людей верить в Москву, they're trying to get people to trust nobody. Another weapon in Moscow's propaganda arsenal is a method known as whataboutism. Here's how it works. You say you have intelligence that Russia used a chemical weapon in Salisbury? Well, what about Iraq? One narrative is effectively neutralised by another, apparently unrelated objection. A collection of British academics, known as the Working Group on Syria Propaganda and Media, was last week accused of being Assad apologists and spreading Russian propaganda. Tara McCormack is a member of the group. Among her many media appearances, she's a regular commentator on RT. Do you think that the Russians fabricate stuff, make up nonsense stories and feed them into the bloodstream to try and confuse people?
Yes.
So do we need to be worried about that?
Well, I think that also we do that too. So we need to think about that. And I'm going to say the best word. That was exactly what happened in Iraq. We talk about fake news. The kind of dodgy dossier, as it became known, the claim of 45 minutes, that is the most astonishing case of fake news you could have.
Some people would call you a useful idiot.
Yes, I know. Well, that's fine. But I think if asking for evidence and due process and caution is to be a useful idiot, I think that says much more about the accusers than about me. And indeed, almost to ask for them, and I have experienced this, is to be dismissed as a traitor. So, well, no, I'm sorry, I actually thought that was quite an important part of British democracy.
One of the hallmarks of a healthy democracy is a robust and open exchange of ideas. We may disagree, but our disagreements are based on a set of commonly accepted facts. But what happens to a society when, amid an avalanche of information online, the boundaries between truth and fiction become blurred?
I think the public space is being eroded because of the amount of anonymous communication that we receive. When you know who's speaking or from whom your letter came, or even which newspaper you're reading, you have got a certain hold on what's relevant to judging the content. When it's anonymous, you don't have much hold. And that, I think, is our difficulty, that we have far more content whose origins we do not know. When we get algorithmic distribution of content, I don't see that it is possible for any individual to harness commensurate powers of questioning, because it is coming, as it were, down so many channels from so many sources, so congruent, so convincing.
The Russian government has a very bad track record, not just of getting things wrong, but of being caught falsifying the evidence. The purpose really seems to be to confuse people, to overwhelm them with so many different theories that they'll actually give up.
We've entered a world of confirmation bias. With unfettered access to information, we're siloed in our social media bubbles. Where once seeing was believing, now it's the other way round. And here's what the new propagandists of the 21st century have realised: the more we see, the less we understand.